So then we're going to talk about taking user input. You guys have probably done this plenty of times, like in every assignment, but we're going to still talk about it anyways. So we're only going to talk about the scanner. There is different ways of taking user input, but the scanner is the easiest and will be the most common one that you use. So we're only going to talk about the scanner. So the first thing you want to do is just import that scanner library. You have to do that every time because if you forget to do it, you can't even use the scanner. So we know that that's just like the import java.util.scanner part. Just put it at the top of your code anytime you need to use the scanner. So before I use the scanner, I have to create it, which you guys have seen, you've probably done many times, where you just do like scanner and then you name your scanner equals new scanner system.in. You'll do that every time. I have to create a scanner to take in user input. If you don't create the scanner, then you really have no other way to take in user input. So then the scanner has a couple of functions that you can use with it. So like the most common ones that you'll use is like next or next line, next int, and next double. So a lot of confusion is, so we know that next and next line are used for strings, but a lot of confusion lies on what's the difference. So let's say I have like the user types in a bunch of numbers with like spaces in between. So next line will take in this whole entire thing, while next will just take in the first, like pretty much everything up until the first space. So just the 0. So if I want just the first number they type in or the first thing they type in before a space, I would use next. But if I just want the whole entire thing like this, I would use next line. So like if they typed in like hello world, next will give me all of hello because it keeps going until it hits a space. So there's a space right here. So next would give me hello. And then if I did next, if I did, scan.next again, it would give me the world. While if I did scan.next line, it would give me both hello world. So we know that, and then we know like scan.next int, it basically waits for a number. And you'll notice that if you do like scan.next int, like I don't know why I'm writing that out, but if you do scan.next int and they type in like a word, like if they typed in hello and it's looking and you did scan.next int, it'll crash because hello is not an integer. So it's looking for an integer, but hello is not an integer. So make sure you're using the right like scan.next int or scan.next line, depending on what they're going to be typing. So scan.next double, same thing. There's basically a scan for pretty much every data type, like integers. I think there's even one for Boolean. I don't know when you would use that, but it's there in case. And then close the scanner. It won't get mad at you. Well, it'll get mad at you if you don't close the scanner. It'll give you a warning. And in your guys' class, it's not going to matter as much if you don't close it, but it's always proper to close it because then it'll save you some trouble in later classes where it could become an issue if you don't close it. So just all you do to close it is just once you're done taking in user input, you just do scan dot close. And then all that does is that means that like the scanner is not going to be in use anymore. Keep in mind, it won't give you an error if you don't do that, but it's proper to do it. So when it takes in user input, you'll notice that like what it'll do is it'll interrupt the code. So if I have like a bunch of stuff and then I have like like taking in user input and then I have a bunch of stuff after it, basically it'll run your code. And then when it gets to this point, it'll stop. It'll stop until the user input, like you guys seen where it pulls up like the terminal and everything. And then it waits for user input. They type something, hits enter, and then it will continue to run the code. So it completely stops the execution of the code. Yeah, and then this basically right here is what I was saying before. If the type that the user types in does not match what like the next you're using, like if they type in like hello, but you used scan.nextInt, it'll crash. So make sure you either tell them which type to use or make sure you're using the right type. So any questions on the scanner? Because here's an example right here. So again, I had to import the library right here and then make the scanner object right here. So again, like I said, it's just your scanner. You just say scanner, and it has to be capital. And then you can name it whatever you want. It's Scanny in this case. And then you say new scanner and then system.in. So this is how you'll do it basically every time. The only thing that will change is that you can name it something different, but everything else will be the same every time. So like scanner and then the new scanner system.in. They'll basically be the same every time. So then you can see like this block of code is expecting a number because we're using scan.nextInt. So it will print this prompt, wait for user input. And if they type in, let's say the number 4, then it'll save num as number 4, and then it'll print out number 4 in this block of code right here. And basically the same thing goes with the rest of the code. So like next double, it's waiting for a double. So like, like 3.4, it'll take that in, and then it'll print it out right here. And then same thing with the string. So in this case, we're using next. So it's basically every character that we see up into a space. So like hello, if we typed hello space world, str, since we're using .next, will just hold hello and not world because it takes everything up to the first space. And then we close the scanner. Cool.